Hi everybody, it's Lisa here from Holistic Health by Lisa Moan, and as you've noticed I'm here live on a Tuesday night instead of a Monday night. So just with the change in the school year and new routines and new activities, I'm going to be going live on Tuesday nights instead of Monday nights. So tonight we're going to be talking about lunchboxes, because I think lunchboxes have been built up into this sort of monumental task that parents end up dreading because they feel there's so much pressure from Instagram, from the kids, from just it's another chore to do, and it all gets built up, so it gets quite overwhelming. So I'm just going to lay out tonight the 5 golden rules for a healthy lunchbox, which will hopefully let you cut through a lot of the noise about lunchboxes and really simplify things and hopefully save you some time. And of course the food industry as well has had a big part to play in this lunchbox dilemma, because we've been marketed all these teeny tiny packets of food where it's like 22 grams of food in a packet, and led to believe that this is what goes into lunchboxes, that you need to have these lunchbox foods, which is just garbage. If you think of it from not even from a nutritional point of view, but from an environmental point of view, every time you buy a 6-pack of like 6 mini packets of something, that is so much waste going straight to landfill. And I think we've all seen over the summer in Australia that we all need to take a lot more personal responsibility for the environment. So cut out the little little packets of stuff in your lunchbox and cut down your waste. So these are my 5 golden rules for a healthy lunchbox. So the first one is, you might be able to guess it, but it's have 2 to 3 serves of vegetables in your child's lunchbox. So kids need 5 serves of vegetables every day. So we know that adults need 5 serves, but I think sometimes we forget that kids also need 5 serves. And because kids don't eat as much as adults, it's really quite a challenge to get all those serves into their day. And there is no way that you can get all 5 serves into dinner time. So you need to spread them through the day. So have a serve at breakfast, like some avocado, who would say no to that, and have at least 2 serves taken to school with them. So for lots of schools do crunch and sip, where you take in a little container, and some schools are great because they say they have to be vegetables, so not even fruit, but they have to be vegetables. So take advantage of that peer pressure and send in some veggies for crunch and sip. And you can send in the obvious things like carrots and cucumber, but after 12 years or 13 years of school, your kids might get a bit tired of carrots and cucumber. So just mix it up, walk around the fruit and veg shop and see what's in season, see what your kids fancy. So like snow peas, capsicum, celery, they're all good raw. And then you can have cooked vegetables, like you can have cooked potato, cooked sweet potato, even you could cook the carrot for a bit of a change, cooked green beans. So there's lots and lots of things. And if your child's digestion is a little bit weak, if their gut's not fantastic, you might want to go more for the cooked vegetables and less for the raw ones, because the raw ones can be quite difficult to digest. And a great trick is to have fermented vegetables available, because whether you make them or buy them, like it doesn't matter. Let's not get bogged down doing things perfectly. But if you have a jar of sauerkraut in the fridge, it lasts quite a long time. So if you just take a big dollop of that and put it in a container for your child's lunchbox, that's a serve of vegetables. It's great because it's full of lots of bacteria, really good for your child's gut health, and there's no food prep for you. So buy a good quality sauerkraut from the fridge in a health food shop and just put a dollop of that in the container, and there's one very easy serve of veg. And so you need, whether they're fermented, cooked or raw, those vegetables will feed your child's good gut bacteria, and that is going to make a massive difference to their mood, to their behavior and to their immunity. So I come across many anxious children, and the first thing to do is to add vegetables, and the second thing to do is add sauerkraut. So if you've got an anxious child, give them some sauerkraut in their lunchbox. Now the next rule is to put in 1 serve of fruit. And I'm being quite specific about that it's just 1 serve of fruit, because in all my years of practice, I have to say I don't think I've ever met a single child who eats too many vegetables. but I have met many children who eat too much fruit. So we should be having 5 serves of vegetables and 2 serves of fruit every day. But most kids that I see, if they're eating lots of fruits and vegetables, they're eating 5 serves of fruit and 2 serves of vegetables. And that is a lot of sugar. Although it's bound with the fibre and the vitamins and the minerals, it's still more sugar than if they had the 5 serves of vegetables. And vegetables tend to have more nutrients in them as well. So if you want to be able to give your child a piece of fruit for afternoon tea, which is a very convenient afternoon tea, then just give them 1 serve of fruit in their lunchbox. And I'm not a fan of putting dried fruit in children's lunchboxes. 1, because it's concentrated sugar, but 2, because it actually will stick to their teeth and they're not going to be brushing their teeth for quite a long time. So that's going to be sitting there busily eroding their enamel. So no sultanas, no dates, nothing like that in their lunchbox. And certainly nothing masquerading as fruit. So no fruit-like snacks, fruit roll-ups. They've got a myriad of different names, but basically if they come in a packet and they're rolled up, they're not actually fruit. So stay well away from them. And if your child doesn't like fruit, then that is absolutely fine. Never worry that your child doesn't like fruit. Just give them extra vegetables. That's even better. And chop up the fruit for them. So apples quite often just go on excursions to school, into school, back home again, into school, back home again. So if you think that's going to be an issue with your child, just chop it up, especially for the younger ones, and it will definitely get eaten much more easily. So the third rule is around treats. And a treat is something that's out of the ordinary. It's not an everyday thing. So therefore, there shouldn't be a treat in their lunchbox every day. So you should fill up the lunchbox with fruit, vegetables and protein sources, and you just don't need a treat. So again, the food industry has a big part to play because we've marketed all these treats. Show your child how much you love them by putting a treat in their lunchbox, which is obviously kind of crazy. If you do want to bake something for your child, then you can make something using a vegetable. So using sweet potato to make some muffins, or some zucchini or some beetroot. So stay away from white flour baking, just standard muffins, because that will make your child's blood sugar go way and then go back down again. So they'll go a little bit hyperactive and then have a big slump of lethargy in the afternoon. So no white flour baked goods in their lunchbox, but you can bake something based on sunflower seeds or vegetables. There's heaps of recipes on my website that would be great for your lunchbox, things like chocolate zucchini muffins. And that way, you're avoiding things like artificial colours and flavours and preservatives and all those nasties that we know are going to have a big impact on our child's behaviour. And you don't need to bake something, so just want to make that clear. Although you can put in these sorts of home-baked foods, you don't have to, they don't need them. The next thing is to make sure there's some protein and fat in your child's lunchbox, not just carbs, because if it's just carbs in your child's lunchbox, then again, their blood sugar is going to be very unstable, which your children might get in trouble for not being able to focus because of that. Or you might pick them up from school and they've been fine all day and then they just lose it and have a massive meltdown because they're just having one of those crashes. So put some fat and protein in. If you eat dairy, then you could put in some cheese. If you don't eat dairy, you could put in some fish, some meat. And don't forget, really simplify things here and just cook a bit extra the night before. So if you're having salmon for dinner, just cook a bit extra salmon and put it in the lunchbox. Or if you're having a roast dinner, take a bit of the roast meat and put it in the lunchbox. It doesn't need to be ham or salami or any of those kind of luncheon meats. It can just be a little bit of what's left over the night before. Burgers, rissoles, heaps of ideas. And it doesn't need to be like a whole salmon steak or anything like that. Just 30, 50 grams, something like that. Something that's just going to balance their blood sugar and give them some protein to keep those neurotransmitters in their brain nice and happy. And the last rule is for what they drink. And it should just be water. So nobody needs anything else to school with them except water. So get a good quality stainless steel water bottle that's not going to leak. Put their name on it because they will lose it, and that's just what they should have. So if you give them like a 750ml water bottle, they shouldn't even need to fill that through the day. Never give them juice because again you've still got the teeth brushing problem, and it will also put their moods very up and down for the day. I just want to touch on a few other points as well that you might be wondering about, especially if you're new to the whole lunches thing. So school might do a waste-free day, like WasteFree Wednesday, and that's days where your child is encouraged not to bring any packets to school. And I have actually known parents that will take the bag of popcorn, for instance, open it at home and pour it into a container and send that to school for WasteFree Wednesday. So that's obviously missing the point quite a lot. So if your school is encouraging a waste-free day, choose foods that do not come with their own bit of waste, like their own mini packet. Choose foods that are packaging free. Another question that I get all the time from everybody is about food safety, and people really worry that if you put something like salmon in your child's lunchbox, it's going to poison their child because it will be bad by lunchtime. But my daughter's in year 7, so she's been having packed lunches for 8 years now, and she's never been sick from her lunch, and she's always had something like a rissole or salmon or something like that in her lunchbox. So you just buy an ice brick, keep it in the freezer, put it in the insulated lunch bag in the morning next to the meat box, and it'll be fine. If you're really worried, you can even sort of partially freeze some of the food, or freeze it the night before and take it out in the morning. And the other great thing to do is actually, when you make the lunch, make it the night before and put it in the fridge. So when you put it into the insulated bag, it's already cold. It doesn't have to get cooled down by the ice brick. So there's lots of ways to make sure your child's lunch will be safe. And don't ever let the concern for food safety force you down a path of packaged food, because it's just not necessary. Allergy wise, just be aware of what the allergy rules are at your school. So some schools are very strict and say you can't have eggs or fish or whatever. Some schools just say no nuts, and some schools say bring whatever but teach your child to share. And obviously there's pros and cons for all of those. We just make sure you know your rule, and if they do have a rule, stick to it, because child's lives are at risk. And if your child has a good friend who they're going to be eating their lunch with who has an allergy, then try to be aware of that and don't send allergenic foods. My son is allergic to pistachios, and we were at a playground one time where somebody had eaten pistachios and had left the shells on the ground. So he didn't eat a pistachio, he didn't touch a pistachio, and he came out in an immediate massive reaction where we had to go to hospital. So just make sure you understand your child's friends' allergies and be aware of that. So if you want more personalised advice, of course, on what your child should be eating every day, just feel free to get in touch and make an appointment to actually have a one-on-one consultation with me in my office where I am right now, or via Skype. So I do Skypes with people all over Australia, and that's fine. And next week, tune in again. I will be talking about magnesium and what magnesium is best for your child and why you would want to give magnesium for your child. And just a few of the reasons are sleep and anxiety. So if your child has sleep issues, definitely tune in next week, and I'll be letting you know how to choose a magnesium for your child. So thank you for listening. If you've got any questions or any comments or anything you'd like me to talk about, please just post below and I'll do my best. Thank you.